When the news of the lockdown hit the UK back in March 2020, my first reaction was that of complete and utter relief. Life had got to a stage where I was feeling bombarded by everything, busy with music, bands, choir, movies, theatre, exhibitions, shows, days out, weekends away, family events, hanging out with mates. Don't get me wrong, I love doing all these things. It's just there was no balance. So from a completely selfish point of view, with every diary entry I was crossing through, I felt a weight was being lifted. This got me thinking about how other people would be reacting to the lockdown. From the start of this worldwide pandemic, I wasn't sure what to believe and was intrigued by what the people in my life felt about it all. I always want people to challenge my thinking and beliefs. No one has it all figured out. How differently we react, think and feel about things makes life very interesting, and so I wanted to explore this further. I was curious to find out how being in lockdown affected people differently, mentally, emotionally, politically, creatively. This is an intimate, honest discussion between people I am close to and love about their thoughts and feelings connected to being in lockdown.
Where have you been getting your information from about the guidelines, what the government's saying?
Radio 4, BBC Radio 4.
News programmes.
I don't watch the news, I don't read newspapers.
BBC, Sky.
Researchers, people who spend their lives looking beyond the mainstream.
The television news.
On the news, social media, work.
Social media.
All of my information has just come from stumbling across it online.
Facebook, friends.
I try and look at a variety of different sources.
Quite a lot with YouTube. If I wasn't too sure about something, I often found that people go on there and they give you a different side of the story, which I'm all for.
And I know all information is biased to a certain extent because it's human beings who are dishing it out. And the BBC is not exempt from that. But I think it's probably as balanced a view as you're going to get.
I'll look at the BBC and see what they're saying, and then I'll check the evidence.
If, say, you've watched something on the BBC have like announced something, you wouldn't just take that. You would go on, you'd go on to like YouTube or other sources and have a little look into what they're saying about that.
I think so. I think it was, from the beginning, you can tell it was a little bit fake, the way it was being reported on the BBC.
Okay.
And it was confusing.
Yeah.
You weren't sure what to do, you know. The lockdown, it seemed to be 1 minute you can do something and then the next minute you can't, 2 metre, 1 metre, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It was very confusing for people.
Do you believe what you are being told?
No.
I think at the beginning of lockdown, I did believe what I was being told because the government seemed to be listening to scientists. But I'm increasingly sceptical about the motives of the government who are putting out that information.
Do you believe what you're being told by the government?
Not much.
It depends what they're saying.
There was a lot of misinformation coming out, and I mean, I don't know it all, but it seemed to me that they were covering up. So if they're covering up where it started, it's going to get covered up all the way along.
That's controversial.
I think there's some sort of an agenda there, and when this pandemic first came out, it just seemed to me a bit of a what we call a false flag type of thing. So I did go looking into where it started.
I've heard of a lot of things of people being put down as dying of coronavirus when their family kind of doubted it because there were no signs of that. Let's say they had a heart attack, no signs of any virus, but they've been put down as a coronavirus death. So I just think the figures, who knows, really not sure. But yeah, so I think you've got to keep your wits about you.
Having suspected that people having COVID put on their death certificates when it wasn't actually that, it's now come out that was utter bollocks, and they've had to change the death rates now.
I think the figures have been embellished a little bit just to keep us in this state. They've said something bad, and they're going to keep telling it's bad because they've overstepped the mark, I think.
I think if we start thinking about it for ourselves, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you haven't got any evidence or done any research yourself, you have to believe what other people tell you, because that's what society is all about. It's a network of relying on other people, their information, their expertise, their knowledge. We cannot know everything all at the same time.
It was pretty obvious if you look at the actual facts, and you speak to people. We spoke to people.
Website.
We spoke to people from the NHS, and they confirmed it as well. Yeah, everyone was like saying, "Oh, that's a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory," and it's been proven not to be. The death rates that they're reporting, utter bollocks.
I'm not buying into all the conspiracy theory stuff.
No, I'm not.
I'm not into it. I just find it quite upsetting for people to put out there that it isn't happening, and I understand why, and I understand it's always important to question everything that you're told. But for me, I think the evidence was all there that it's a real virus.
I think people got fed up with me on Facebook, always saying stuff that is putting down the official narrative.
I think people could have spoken about it in a more sensitive way, and the kind of scaremongering of it not being real affected people massively.
In the end, I got fed up with it myself.
Okay.
Of actually putting stuff up. I thought, you're all a bunch of snowflakes, get a grip. And I think the biggest problem with conspiracies is that people don't want to know. They like the safe environment of what they do know. And if we talk about something that is outside that little bubble, they don't want to go there because they want to stay, because then they have to think a bit, and it's not always nice what you think.
Loads of scaremongering. Even like when so the lockdown rules started coming out, and as soon as that happened, you got people saying, "Oh, we're a police state now. They're locking us all down. They're making these laws. We're never going to come back from that. This is it now." Kind of like saying it's the end.
But I do want to point out that I totally understand where it would come from and the kind of reasoning behind why people might believe that. I'm not ignorant to that. There's always different sides to every kind of everything you hear, and the source where you hear it from.
Yeah.
If you're looking at YouTube videos because you're looking for a different angle, good luck with that.
If you're looking for an angle, you're going to find one, aren't you?
Yeah, just like anything. If you're looking for an angle, you're going to find what you want to find.
I don't trust the government. I don't trust the BBC. I didn't before this, and I definitely don't now. I wasn't really looking for another angle.
Okay.
I was looking at evidence to support, either what the government was saying or what the government weren't saying. So I based that on the evidence, not somebody's opinion.
In this situation with a pandemic, if we all take the premise that there is a disease out there, then the only way to live with it is for all of us follow certain guidelines rather than just try to push and shove in various different directions from each other.
I'm not worried about being wrong about anything.
No.
I'm happy to be wrong. You know, you've got to go through that process. And I think people are too lazy to go through it. It's the truth is not like a majority view on everything. It could be the minority view. And that's where I think people get upset, because the majority of people are told stuff and they believe stuff, and it's the few here that think of it differently, and they don't like to think that you might be right, because all the time they think they're right.
It's very hard to say the one thing that I've missed most during lockdown, but it has to, I suppose, top has to be hugs. Living on your own, obviously, you don't have anybody to hug, and you can't even hug the people you love the most.
I had a gig booked to do, and I missed doing that. I can't think of anything in particular that I really wanted, that I really felt I was missing out on.
Just seeing other people. Yeah, I mean, we were prepared to see other people, but you know, obviously we were going to respect what they wanted to do as well, and you know, most people wanted to at least at first stick to the government guidelines, which is, you know, fair enough, do whatever you feel is right for you. So yeah, it was quite lonely at times, not getting to hang out with our mates and that.
I like to play golf, and I was playing a lot in Denmark. Coming back over here with the pandemic, I've played about 2 times, so twice. So I've been a bit fed up with that.
I missed being able to do anything. You know?
I missed Wagamama. I have missed, because basically my whole life revolves around food, so I have missed cooking for people. I've cooked a lot for us, haven't I? I've cooked some brilliant dinners, really good ones, because I got time to do it.
I just missed the security of knowing what was coming next.
Yeah.
It was frightening to me that you were just in this void and there was just nothing on the horizon and your future was blank.
I have just a very close second was cooking for people and sitting down to eat with people. But actually cooking, entertaining, that was up there with the hugs.
People like myself whose life pretty much revolves around sort of live music, whether it be rehearsing or performing or even going to watch other people play, that is still at a complete standstill.
So, Dad, have you clapped for the NHS?
Every minute of every day, I'm out the front of the house clapping. No, I don't clap for the NHS.
No, I haven't clapped for the NHS at all.
No.
No.
Yes, I have clapped for the NHS.
I didn't clap for the NHS.
I clapped once.
So did I.
I did, the first time.
Yes,
Yeah. I just got swept up in the energy and I thought it was really fun, and then after that I was like, hang on a minute.
So what changed then?
When we were starting to suspect that the NHS were actually hiding the fact that they weren't actually getting many people in there, and the fact that they were refusing care to people who desperately needed it, like cancer patients, people with hernias, you know, people who've had strokes, and these are all people that we know.
Not once.
No.
Empty gesture.
Yeah.
Empty gesture.
Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Bullshit. Utter bullshit.
Okay.
Makes us quite cross. Me quite cross. I feel quite cross about it. I just think, if I was doing that job, I'd be like, piss off, don't you clap in for me, you know.
Give me a pay rise. Guarantee my job. Make sure I've got all the equipment I need to do my job. Invest in the NHS instead of starving it over the last 10 years.
A lot of people saw it as a pro-government demonstration. This government, the Conservative government, have not funded the NHS. In fact, totally the opposite. They brought in measures of austerity, and why should we then almost back up the government by applauding the NHS? But I didn't see it as applause for the government. I saw it as applause for people who aren't usually noticed, who are often invisible.
I understand the sentiment of like, you know, these guys are going out, they're doing their job, incredible, NHS, etc.
Yeah.
And they're caring for us and our community. I didn't feel the need to stand outside my front door and clap and join in with the rest of the community that were clapping and all giving each other kind of, yeah, you're clapping, well done, good job, we're good, we're great, aren't we? You know, look at me clapping.
There was an element of, well, I'm joining you, I'm joining the road.
What does that personally achieve for the NHS? I don't think it matters what field of work you work in, but you want to know that you're appreciated by the people that are in charge. You get that appreciation from being listened to and being understood and being given things when you need them in your job.
What about the people that are working at the supermarkets, making sure you're getting your food and you know, so you clap for one thing, why not clap for
exactly. Anyone who's a key worker, and there's no one job that's more important than any other, because you take one whole section of it away and everything will fall apart, wouldn't it?
To start with, it was a nice idea. I like nurses anyway, they do a good job, but then I thought, well, so do the dustmen and other people. So why are the NHS getting all the praise? And with some of my conspiracy stuff, I realised, especially in America, the hospitals get more money if someone's got COVID-19. So I thought maybe it's not worth doing it anymore.
I hope as a result of that applause, lower paid workers in the NHS will actually be financially rewarded.
How important has social media, the internet, been for you at this time in terms of getting information and also just keeping in touch with family and friends and people?
I think it's important for most people generally now, because we're enclosed, can't go out too much. We've got to rely on the internet.
Social media has been very important for me. I hate to admit that, of course, not being a fan.
To be honest, the internet has come close to just completely destroying my state of mind.
Obviously keeping in touch with my grandchildren.
Parties and singing and karaoke and quizzes.
I had 2 really good family Zoom evenings. I got so excited. I put makeup on, I even put nail varnish on. I had a bottle of wine and it was such good fun.
People need each other. They need to talk to each other. They need to hug each other. They need to hold each other. You know, pat each other on the back and keep each other strong. And you can't do that over the internet.
I think it's been a bit of a battleground for people, social media, around the virus, opposing points of view, people getting upset with other people's points of view and what they've got to say about it. So I've kind of seen it as a bit negative, really.
Quite recently I felt really pissed off with people, particularly people that consider themselves to be like free thinkers. For me, they've sort of shown that they're anything but free thinkers, and and they're very much trying to sort of stamp their way of life onto other people, and I think, well, if you don't agree with somebody, then that's absolutely fine, but just let people be independent of you.
The people that are so gullible are the people I don't like. They need to wake up and see there's another side to things.
Everyone is terrified of like being perceived as not a good person.
I think it's brought to the front people that are stuck with their views and they're not willing to look elsewhere or change their views. And you could say that about me.
I've seen people post stuff on social media and I'll talk to them in person and it's like I'm talking to like a completely different person. And I'm like, hang on, you sounded really out of order, like if I see you on Facebook or whatever, but then you seem quite reasonable. I'm probably like that as well, perhaps.
If you're willing to change your view, then you're halfway there, because you're not just being led, you're stopping off and looking elsewhere, and that might take you a different way, which hopefully it's all about bringing you to the truth.
I have felt differently, in a good way, towards my family and friends, because being partly isolated has made me appreciate them all more. I've seen different sides of them. I've been so supported. Everybody has been just lovely, and friends have been supportive. So I've seen a different side, a better side.
I think lockdown's it's just broken something. In the beginning it was that grief, it was that loneliness and missing people, but it's more of the danger and the risk of being around people who can't think for themselves. That's more the reason why towards the end I've started to feel like more separate from everybody.
Little things like those who keep in contact, even just a little message every couple of weeks just to check in, see how you're doing. That's fantastic. I had my 40th birthday during this period, so obviously we weren't able to go out and celebrate or do anything like that. So it meant the world when family and friends, sent through birthday cards. For some reason, I got way more kind of really personalised cards than I normally do. It felt a lot more kind of heartfelt, sincere and sweet. It was really lovely to sort of get that when, a lot of these people that you're receiving these cards from, you're not seeing, and you're not able to see. It's nice to have a sort of connection with people that way.
Have you stuck strictly to the government guidelines for the situation that you are in?
I guess in a tick box situation we are stuck to the guidelines of what the government have asked, but not because the government have asked us to do that. We've been guided by what we think is right.
Well, I don't know quite what they are. No.
Right from the beginning, I've been out for a walk every day because that is one of the things that's kept me sane through that first 3 months. In fact, I wrote a huge big list of things to do, things that were going to keep me sane right in the first week, and that was more or less top of the list.
Have you stuck strictly to the government guidelines?
No.
I was going to say, we'll have that on camera, please. Obviously, being 75, you are in the vulnerable category.
Yeah, so they say.
So at the beginning, it was made very clear by the government that elderly people should stay in, shouldn't even go to the shops, that they'd have to have none. So there was none of that for you.
No, I went out all the time.
I've sat in people's gardens and socially distanced before that was really officially allowed.
I disagreed with the guidelines. I thought they were going to be, bad for everyone. So I felt I had a moral obligation to not stick to them.
So if you're walking down the street, you're not going to cross the road to...
No way. Everyone has to get out my way. I do hate it, I must admit, when you're walking down the road and about 30, 40 yards ahead of you, someone crosses and there's plenty of room on your side and you think, what the hell?
I have assiduously avoided people in the streets, giving them a very wide berth, which feels quite bad-mannered. Feels quite rude, really, to do that.
A lot of the lockdown restrictions just kind of go hand in hand with how I live my life anyway.
They're your life rules. Doesn't matter about the government. They're just Paul's rules of life. Let's just stay in and not see anyone.
Yeah, so it kind of complemented
introvert
my
lifestyle.
Complemented my introvert lifestyle perfectly. Yeah.
What have you been doing with your time that you were unable to or didn't get the chance to do prior to lockdown?
All the things that we like doing, we make time to do anyway.
Yeah.
We've just been given more time.
Well, lockdown and the newfound freedom that I've been given from not having to go to work has enabled me to knuckle down and do lots of music related things. Thankfully I've figured out a way of being able to write and record from home. That's definitely been the main thing that the new freedom of time has allowed me. It's meant that I've had to change how I work, because not being able to go to a studio has meant that normally at a studio I'd be able to play my big sort of loud guitar rig. I've had to concentrate on a much more electronic based setup, which I can just do via a computer and a set of speakers on the dining room table, as opposed to, you know, really loud, noisy stuff. It's definitely allowed me to create types of music that I probably wouldn't necessarily create, just due to the restrictions that I have of doing it from sort of home. So it's been really cool with regards sort of forcing me in directions that I might possibly not have gone into, and I've very much enjoyed that.
My garden's never looked any better. It looks really good because I have time to go out there and deadhead or plant something up or just faff about, really. So lockdown's been good for gardening and hanging out with cats.
Yeah.
We don't get to hang out with cats during the day,
Not during the daytime, no.
They've loved having us at home.
They have, they've loved it.
Yeah. Oh, the sun's come out.
What's been your darkest or most negative thought during this time? If you can say.
I can't say.
You can't say. Okay. Was it Kill Eliza?
No, I don't think anything has made me feel down, because you always think there's people worse off than yourself.
So not a day goes past without I think about my own mortality. And I suppose my darkest fear, and it was brought home when I did have a bit of a 24-hour bug and I fainted, and I thought, supposing I'd hit my head and been unconscious and died and nobody had found me for days. So that was a bit of a fear, because I felt quite vulnerable.
Have there been any really dark moments for you?
I would pretty much say there haven't been any kind of dark moments at all.
No, none whatsoever.
It just sort of felt like at times it's like everyone's just so crazy, and I was just looking at all of the evidence. It just doesn't add up, and then I've got like everyone seemingly sort of buying into everything, and it just felt like, well, either I'm absolutely mad or they're absolutely mad, and either one of those scenarios didn't feel like a particularly like, you know, sort of good world to live in.
Can't doing certain things is not a great hardship, in a sense. I was just hoping, or rather thinking, how long would it be before we come out of this panic buying, snowflakey stuff.
I do believe that you have to face your fears, and the greater the fear, the more imperative it is that you face it and not run away and try to distract yourself from those thoughts and fears. And obviously lockdown gave me and a lot of people a lot of time for reflection.
When we could get depressed, we could be fed up, we could be this, we could be that. If we can go and reach out to others that are all in this, because this pandemic is worldwide, we're all in the same boat. We've all got different views, and sometimes someone's view is, oh, great, why didn't I think of that? And then you've got others that are dragging you down. I want people who are more positive to build us up, and who wants to wallow in it all.
I can actually remember about, say, 2 afternoons where I did feel a bit more than fed up. I felt depression coming on, not clinically, and I had to say, now come on Mary, get up, make some soup, do something, because that is an antidote for me. If you're going into yourself and feeling that everything is terrible, is actually to distract yourself for a while and until you get over it. And I did, and I do. I know it's not the same as clinical depression.
And you, H?
No darkness at all. No, it has been a very good experience for us. We really enjoyed each other's company, keeping everything at a bit of a distance from us.
Yeah, there were sort of times when just felt like completely giving up. But since then, coming through that, I've met a lot more sort of like-minded people who are also crazy.
So the restrictions that have been put in place, have they made you feel more vulnerable or susceptible to your mental health?
Yeah, I've thought about mental health a lot during the lockdown and seen it from lots of different angles. But for me, the lockdown has improved my mental health. And I think that is because time pressures are off. Work pressure's still there, but in a different capacity. Yeah, my mental health has improved.
I've definitely gone through like some times when I've struggled a bit, but then I sort of feel like I've come out stronger after that.
What were you struggling with?
It was a bit like when we were in lockdown, we were told it was like 2 weeks and it was 3 weeks, and then there was like going to be no normality like in the sort of foreseeable future, and it almost felt like, oh, there's just like nothing to look forward to. And so when I was feeling a bit low, I was just like, what is the point? Being a musician, there's no gigs in sight. I was thinking like, what is the point of writing music? Yeah, I was quite sort of depressed with the whole sort of music thing, because I just thought like, well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get much opportunity to actually like perform in the future. Yeah, I think I went through a stage where I almost gave up at one point, but that changed. So.
Yeah, good.
I suppose the best person to ask is not me, but people that know me. I mean, they might have noticed that, yes, I am a little bit more, unstable or something, but as far as I was concerned, not in the least.
I really need a good array of different personalities around me so that I can judge myself. I need that kind of constant feedback from all different people, so I know where I stand and I know if I'm doing all right, if I'm, out of hand or whatever. And I didn't have that. I had nothing.
I think being an older person, perhaps you're a bit more stable, and perhaps younger people who have so much ahead of them and so much more at stake with education and careers, relationships, that sort of thing. I can understand how it might have been a lot more threatening, the whole thing, for younger people, and people who basically have to earn money to pay the rent and pay for food bills. So obviously all that would have put a lot of strain on people younger than me.
Not being able to work was really hard, because that's a big kind of supportive environment for me.
We know we're very fortunate that we've got a home with a garden and we've been able to carry on working, and we haven't had to worry financially because we have been working.
There was just this kind of state of shock in the early lockdown. It was like I was shaking and I felt anxious and I felt really unstable all the time.
The shutdown of everything, it just feels like a relief.
It was weird, it was like a grief. It was like I was grieving something I didn't have the chance to really know what it was.
Going back to the mental health question, it's been really good for me, and I think for you too.
Yeah,
it's given us an opportunity to just stop for a minute, because everything is very busy.
I feel like a part of me has changed forever. But I also feel like it's really helped me to question what life is worth and what is the point, and really figuring that out.
Yeah, because you're given the time to actually think. So when everything else is stripped back, it highlights so much more.
What's really important.
What really matters to you as a person, a living, breathing, spiritual being. What is fundamentally at your core. And I think a lot of people have questioned who they are I know it sounds cheesy and stuff, but it is such a thing that you need to be tackling all the time. It's never going to be something that you're going to fully discover.
Yeah.
But God, you want to be doing. You want to be working on it. Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. I think that's fantastic that you've really realised that in yourself. Really good. Really cool. Do you feel more connected to yourself?
I'd say so, yeah. My creativity is flowing so much better. If you think of that as a kind of muscle, it's so much more fitter than it was before. My creativity has opened up so much more because I feel a lot more relaxed, and work doesn't feel like such a big thing that's getting in the way of everything else so much. So
that's really interesting, isn't it? Just having the time to feel at ease with yourself, that opens up your creativity. Not, I've got to fit in my creativity into 7 and 9 on a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Yeah.
You can wake up in the morning and think, I've got a spark of an idea and I can go and do that right now.
Yeah.
Rather than like, well, I've got to go and do this first and then I'll come back to it later, and then that moment's just gone.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my creativity doesn't work to a time schedule. No, I need to be in my environment for hours and let it kind of sort of build up. I couldn't get in from work and then just get in the studio and start kind of doing stuff, because I'd feel still in kind of work mode, and it takes hours to kind of get into that kind of frame of mind.
Work is such a big thing, isn't it? I mean, that's all we've kind of, the whole thread of everything we've talked about today, work just runs right through it.
Yeah.
Creatively, with painting, I had no desire whatsoever to get out my paints, but I made myself do a regular thing weekly. I made a card for Gabriel, my grandson, and the character was Mr. Bear. It was a good part of my lockdown structure. It was a labour of love. I often didn't feel like doing it, but I wasn't, as I mean it, really seeing something and thinking, I really can't wait to get that down. I didn't have that feeling at all. There you are with all the time in the world to paint, to do pottery, to do a lot of hands-on artistic stuff, and the desire has gone. So I'm not quite sure what all that's about, really.
Something did happen over lockdown with my creative stuff. Definitely. And I learnt that suddenly I could understand what I was doing a bit better, which is really odd. Drawings and composition wise.
I think I had a sort of similar thing, because I felt sort of less inspired, then more inspired, but with a sort of, like you said, like a sort of more of an understanding of what I was trying to craft, really.
Because I was able to spend more time praying and reading the Bible, that was definitely, is always a way in to knowing myself. I've been praying more regularly the end of Psalm 139, which says, "Search me, O Lord, and know my heart. Try me and test my anxious thoughts, and see what ways there are in me that offend you, and lead me in your everlasting ways."
Being able to go outside and go for long walks, which is another thing that I wasn't able to do that much of before this happened, but being able to do that on a daily basis has been fantastic, and being able to do it in a local environment where there's hardly anybody around is even more incredible, because you haven't got large masses of people ruining stuff, which they tend to do. So you could go out in the beautiful sunshine. There wouldn't be hardly a soul about. So you'd hear the waves on the beach more. You'd hear the songs of the birds more. You'd hear the wind in the trees more. You definitely had a greater appreciation for nature, probably because nature had a greater appreciation for the fact that we weren't around as much anymore. So yeah, there's definitely a greater connection to the beauty of the world when there's a lack of people.
very, very early in lockdown, when all was so wonderfully, blissfully quiet and the air was fresh and there was very little traffic and not many other people around, I did find myself just stopping and looking at trees, because it was that time of year when things are just coming out and everything is so beautifully fresh and wonderful. If only that part of lockdown could stay. If only we had learnt about what makes life worth living. And that sort of thing is part of what makes life worth living. I think stopping and staring, actually. Yeah.
What guilty pleasure have you used lockdown as an excuse to do that you're more than likely going to have to give up when it's all over? Yeah.
Okay, well, for me, so there isn't one. All my pleasures come guilt-free. And I don't have any problem with what I spend my time doing.
It wasn't a guilty pleasure at all, but it was such a pleasure, and that, in one word, was Stiesel. It was a Netflix series about an ultra-Orthodox family, Jewish family, and I just got hooked and I loved it. But I certainly didn't feel guilty about it. But it was a great series. Stiesel. Yeah, you more like to say Schitzel.
Yeah.
Which I think Mary said, and then she said, no, it's not quite right.
Normally we'd be quite social, we'd be out most evenings, so having that completely taken away from us, you'd finish your kind of working day and it would be 6 o'clock and you'd be like, right, okay, so we can't go out, we can make a bit of dinner, and I guess we could just get into bed and watch a film. And it's like, you look at your watch and it's like 7 o'clock in the evening, and it's like something that we've never done before.
I've watched a lot of shit TV.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah, but I love it because I probably wouldn't get the opportunity to do that. Time again, not enough time to sit and watch shit TV. And it is such an escape to sit and do that. I love it.
What are you most grateful for now?
My iPad. Seriously? Oh, I'd be lost without it. I know it's being a bit silly, but being able to keep in touch with people all around the world, just seeing what they're up to, what their views are on the pandemic in different countries, how they treat it. My iPad has been a friend.
I'm most grateful for my life.
I'm really grateful that nobody that we know or love or care about has gotten ill and died.
My wonderful family.
I would guess the free time. Yeah, time. It's been the most amazing thing that I personally have been given from this experience.
That I've got the most faithful friend that anyone could ever have. And that I know that I'm looked out for.
My dear friends.
I'm also very grateful to have been in lockdown with you. Because I don't think there's anybody else I could have done it with, because I would have lost my patience and my temper and probably been a right bitch.
Well, there's no one
you can confirm I haven't been those things.
No, you
I've
haven't.
been brilliant.
No, you've mostly not been those things.
Mostly all not been those things.
Yeah, no, there's no one I would have wanted to spend lockdown.
Don't copy me.
Very grateful that I moved from Bridport when I did.
Just free time to where I've been able to kind of live life more in a manner that I would ideally like to do so.
And I'm very grateful for my lovely flat.
I've been working, but I've been able to very much do it more at my own pace and speed.
And I'm very, very grateful for my dear little garden.
You realise how solid your relationship is if you can spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with...
For 3 months.
For 3 months.
4 months, whatever
4 months.
I'm grateful for, you know, being sort of a strong, capable man, and yeah, that's about it really.
I'm grateful for being so amazing.
Yeah, have you got anything else that you're grateful for right now?
Well, grateful, it's kind of like...
What's wrong with grateful?
Well, grateful's been something you've been given and not earned.
Is it something you've been given and not earned, that you're a strong, capable man?
Maybe I did earn it in some way.
Or was it just a gift from the gods?
I'm just going to say, right, yeah, I'm Dan, her and I am most grateful for having a strong, capable woman who I love very much, who I've had the honour of spending lockdown with.
I'm grateful to the Lord, as well, of course, above all, for life, yeah. For life and health and friends and, yeah, everything. It's all wonderful. Even when things go wrong, it's still all wonderful because He's there with me and He'll bring me through.
It's been much more relaxing, much more chilled, better for the mind, better for the soul. Yeah, time.
Who knows what the future's going to bring for anyone and for us. But, you know, we're solid and we had all our basic needs met during lockdown and, you know, that's meant that we can just kind of thrive really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Dad.
That's all right.
Brilliant.
Be interesting to see what you use out of that.
Since filming began, the UK has gone through 2 more lockdowns, and now in March 2021, we are in its 3rd. Although I've missed many of the things I got up to before lockdown, my anxiety and panic levels are the lowest they've been for years. It's been pretty rubbish not being able to perform with the band or sing in the bar choir, but I've used that time to delve into other creative projects, things I may not have done if it hadn't have been for lockdown. Thankfully, I've still been going into work and regularly rehearsing and recording, and I know that having this routine has been really good for keeping me focused and motivated. But I've also been really good at not doing anything, and I've loved spending hours watching TV shows and lazing around. I'm so grateful for the time and honesty everyone provided in the interviews, and for not being scared of laying it all out there. This is just a handful of people, so ultimately just a small example of how differently we all see, believe and feel things. It's fascinating to discover more about the people we love and highlights even more how different we all are.